I'm loading up now on YouTube. I have several laptops. So if you have debt collectors, this is or collection debts. I'm not speaking about bankruptcy. I'm not speaking about bankruptcy. This is debt collectors. This is collection debt. Letters that you get on debt collectors or debt collectors. I've never heard of a Chapter 3 bankruptcy. However, I have heard of Chapter 13, Chapter 11, and Chapter 7. Thank you so much, Jesus. Jesus, you're going to have to stay on today if you can. I'm not watching sports, so I don't know what game may be on, but this is going to be a very, very detailed topic, and it's going to help people with understanding not only why debt collection debt is illegal, right? Let me make sure my lighting is good, but why you may not know how to discharge debt collection debt, right? People do what they do. They try to take bits and pieces of information and put it together to have success. Of course, whenever myself or other credit experts go live, people, Jesus, let me know if you can hear me where I have my microphone on. People want to take advantage, I would say, of that information, right? Without doing their due diligence or really want to pay the professional help. And oftentimes they will just Google some information requesting for validation of debt. I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting internet. I think I have too many devices connected at the same time because now my laptop is not getting internet connection. And so what they attempt to do is to ask for debt validation under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And usually that debt collector will come back and respond with a print out of a bill from the original service or whoever they receive the services from that company. And now the consumer doesn't know what to do, right? When that response come back, hey, this is a printout. You visited this clinic or this doctor, or you had these services with this, cable company on this date, and these is a printout of the bill of the amount that was accumulated during that process. But that's not debt validation. And the reason I'm teaching on this is because I've helped so many people save hundreds to thousands of dollars from paying debt validations through the knowledge. So let's get started. Let's get into this. Again, you all do some thumbs up. I only have one on Facebook right now. On YouTube. So if you all want me to discuss the topic, I'm going to need more participation, right? Because honestly, I'm dressed in my gym clothes. I could very well be in the gym, working out, getting my exercise on, versus doing this video to try to help. Actually, I haven't did live videos in a while. So it's been a while since I've even did live videos. So, if you all want this information to try to help you, I think I have too many devices that's connected now to my internet. I'm also getting upgraded internet, so that will help. Let me know. And then if I'm having internet connection problems, then I log off. So getting right into the topic. All right, getting right into the topic. I'm still waiting for some more thumbs up on all the platforms. Still waiting on YouTube. All you have to do is click on it, whether you are on your mobile device or laptop, and hit the thumbs up. All right. So oftentimes when you have dispute letters from these do-it-yourself companies that sell these dispute letters, and I've seen them before through other companies, sometimes through like network marketing business, one of the first things, and I have advised these companies and businesses that you're using the right language, but it's not one size fit all. And these letters would state that this is asking for verification of my contract with a wet ink signature, right? With bearing my signature, wet ink or blue ink. How many of you all have ever purchased a do-it-yourself product, or you've seen letters for free that's offered off Google that states that information? The first thing they ask, and they give you line sentences and ask you to list every account that you're asking for verification on and asking for documentation with your signature. How many of you all have ever seen those letters, whether you purchased them or whether you saw them on your Google for free? Put yes or no. Put yes or no. If you've seen those letters, if you purchased those letters, or you have at least had, some type of contact with letters that way. Verify this account with my signature, wet ink, yes or no. Okay, yeah. Jesus said no. Jesus, has you ever purchased a do-it-yourself product? Miss Payne said yes. Waiting on Facebook, Instagram to respond. Okay, I have a yes. A yes, okay. Okay, Jesus said he never purchased a do-it-yourself product. Okay, so that it will be different in your case. And so this only is for debt collectors. And so what happens is that people, that's why I say your credit repair process. I see this little piece is sticking up in my hair. It's kind of annoying me. It's not a one size fit all. It's not a cookie cutter system. I'm just gonna have to roll with it. It's not a cookie cutter system. Okay, Miss Johnson. Hello, Miss Johnson. Seen them, yes, never purchased. Okay, some more YouTube responses. Florida State University says yes. Okay. And this was not meant for charge off, for inquiry removals, late payments, and sometimes you can dispute that under bankruptcy, but you have to include other things with the bankruptcy, because the bankruptcy does have the discharge papers, right? And sometimes under some accounts that's negative, like a bankruptcy, it will require verification from the original source, which in that case would be the courthouse in which you filed the bankruptcy. But you haven't missed much, Miss Johnson. I'm just getting into the meat and potatoes. But this was really created for debt collectors, right? This was a strategy and it should to be used for debt collectors. But what has to be produced is not just a wet ink signature, right, of the original contract. So if you had Dish or Comcast or DirecTV, or you've been to a clinic and you had a collection charge off or any type of medical services, right? Then they must produce the original contract, not a printout of a bill. So this is what the law was really written for. But that original contract, right? The original contract must be notarized. It must be a notarized copy. And see, when people ask for debt validation, and then the company, the debt collectors respond back, and their response back is, okay, this is a printout of a bill. This is debt validation. This is where most people give up. And they say, oh, they have proof. But that's not proof by law, right? It's not proof of the original instrument of indebtedness, right? Original instrument of indebtedness. So it's OI, original instrument of indebtedness. I want you all to put in the comments while you watch it live, or you may catch this on the replay, OI. So you must know the law, right? And you must have the proof that they are supposed to provide you the original instrument of indebtedness. On YouTube, if you have a question that's off topic of debt collectors, yeah, my nails. I know. Send me a super chat and I'll answer those questions. All right. OI, the original instrument of indebtedness. So a super chat is just going to make me or allow me to see your questions because I'm on more than one platform. So, but this particular video is focused on debt collectors because I have people, especially with medical collections, that lose out thousands and thousands of dollars on medical collections, or they file bankruptcy because of medical collections, and debt collectors because they don't understand how this works. So they must have a notarized affidavit, right? And the original contract. So, for example, when you go to a clinic or get medical services, they have you to sign documentation that you will allow your information to be shared with a third party. Did you all know that? Have you ever looked at that real closely in hand? Did you all know that? Yes or no? Yes, did you know that whenever you go to a clinic, whenever you go get medical services, there will always be a form agreement that, okay, I'm seeing some no's that it's okay to share your information with a third party. Well, a third party is just another name for debt collections. And so this is how debt collections are able to get your information in the first place, right? Initially in the first place. And so when they get your information by buying your debt or purchasing your debt, then this is how they are able to even make a contact to connect or collect the debt from you. So that's why in the small print, it always have that this is an attempt to collect a debt, but you have the right to request for validation. A lot of people don't know what validation is or what it looks like. So that's why I'm informing you it's not a printout or a bill or services, right? Other than that, even when you go to a doctor's appointment, a hospital or clinic, in the small writing, you can cross that out and still subscribe your name to receive your services. And your information will not be provided to a debt collector in the first place. Can you deny the signature? You can sign your name, but you can exit out that in a small writing. That helps prevent debt collectors getting access or having the right to get your information in the first place. So it must be original wet ink signed contract. It must be notarized, right? And this is the part that you need to know about tonight, the 1933 bankruptcy, right? Did you all know that the United States filed for bankruptcy, that we are pretty much broke in 1933? And what happened was people that kept money in banks were going to the banks to collect their money, right? That they had in their savings or their checking account, and the money wasn't there. The banks went broke because they invested the money into stocks. See, the banks is not saving your money. The bank is not holding your money in their security vaults or whatever. They take your money and do two things with it. They loan it out. A portion of they loan it out, and then they invest it to make more money. And so consumers were coming to the banks, right? And they wanted their money, and their money was not there. So President, I was about to say Nixon, but he's the one who took it out the gold standard. But the president, 1933, I forgot his name, he then had said, hey, we have a week off. They had a week off. Banks were closed for a week. It was a bank holiday. I have to do something to restore the trust of the American peoples that they should keep their money in banks, and to make them that believe that their banks are safer, their money is safer with us in the banks, right, than under their mattresses. So just stay with me, because you're not taught this in school, but I'm going to show you how the Bankruptcy Act of 1933 also helped eradicate debt collectors in debt. Besides not having the written verification of your signed, your sworn and notarized affidavit contract, right? And the second condition that a debt collector may do is they have to provide verifiable proof that any actual money was ever created, right? And that this debt was not created. Okay, thank you so much, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Thank you so much, you too. Franklin D. Roosevelt signed this act. The U.S. went bankrupt. The U.S. was broke. 1933, broke, had lost all consumers' money, and by investing in stock. And I'm going to describe what money mean then, what money was then, and really still is by law. And so debt collectors have to provide verifiable proof that any money was created or loaned to you, right? And that you owe this money, and it was just not produced from bookkeeping entry that was made, right, in an attempt to establish an alleged debt or obligation. Did you all know that? Yes or no? That any type of exchange of services in which money is loaned to you cannot be created through a bookkeeping entry. Something of value or service has to be exchanged. Okay. So a contract, when you're asking for this contract with your original signed signature or with ink signature, a contract by law, right? No idea. And you can look at your common laws. You can also, when we get off this stream, you can Google the Bankruptcy Act of 1933, the U.S. bankruptcy. It is very little information out about that, which makes it even more scarier, right? But something of value has to be in exchange, such as money, goods, or services, or a promise to exchange for something else of value. Now, this is where it comes in. If someone provides you services, medical services, phone services, cable services, then something of value must be in exchange for those services. So there is a fundamental difference between paying a debt and discharge a debt, right? To pay a debt, you must have something of value, of substance, like this, gold or silver. You all gonna have to stay with me, because they don't teach this in school, right? They don't teach this in school. To pay a debt, you must have something. This is considered money under the U.S. government. You must have something, right? And on Instagram, Facebook, make sure you all share, thumbs up on YouTube, but something of value or substance must be given in exchange for goods or services. So with this, now that our country has been bankrupt since 1933, this can only discharge a debt because it has no backing substance to it. Meaning that in 1971, President Nixon, and this is a history lesson, I won't try to get too deep, but this paper money used to be backed by actual gold that was in the banks. And so when the U.S. became broke and didn't have people's actually gold in the bank, they decide, okay, we're going to make them trust that this printed money because they can still get exchanged for goods and services, is just as valuable as this. But by law, this is not considered money. So in other words, this is what we call a Federal Reserve bill or T-bill, and you cannot cancel out debt with debt. You cannot service a debt with something that has no backing or currency. And this has no currency. And how would you know that? Because it tells you on it, this is a note, a legal tender for all debts, public and private. It tells you it's a Federal Reserve note. It's not money. It's not money. So if a contract by law is only considered contract if something of value was exchanged, such as money or gold and silver, then you can never use this to pay off a debt. You cannot service a debt with a currency that has no value or substance. So no contract in common law, no contract is valid unless it is for the exchange of good and valuable consideration. So in other words, number one, they don't have the original signed contract notarized with your signature. They cannot collect the debt from you, and they cannot report it on your credit report. Now, some of you all may be asking, well, why is it reported on my credit report as soon as I get notice in the mail that I owe this debt collector? The only way it can remain, they can report it at the same time that they are trying to collect the debt. But did you all know this? That if they do not validate the debt the way it's supposed to be validated, within 30 days, they cannot continue to report it. And it must be deleted. So it can remain on your credit report, Experience, TransUnion, Equifax for 30 days. But if they do not provide proper debt validation, not only is your debt discharged or paid off, meaning you don't owe the money, and then now they have no legal rights to summons you for court, but it also is grounds to get it deleted off your credit report. So this is why being proactive with debt collector is better than being reactive, right? Proactive is better than being reactive. And so all of this money printed, it's just, you know, they pay nothing to print this money but the ink and the printer costs. And so you can't even use this legally to cancel out a debt because this is already debt. It's printed because we were in debt. It's printed because in 1933, the federal government confiscated people's real gold and silver and told them, look, if you possess any gold in your homes, because this is what people were saying, that this is how they're saving money. If you possess any of this, if you don't turn it all into the government, there are going to be legal ramifications to pay. So you can't even use this legally to pay off your goods and services, right? So I hope you all understand it. So you might be asking me, well, why do people accept payment for it? Because you don't know your common laws. You don't know about the Bankruptcy Act of 1933. I tried that and changed the same debt to something else. Delana, explain it to me. Hello, Lee Brown. Explain it to me more detail on YouTube. You tried what, to ask for debt validation? So what this does is not only does it makes a contract illegal for any company or business to try to use this to eradicate, because, you know, this doesn't cancel out a debt. The only thing that truly would cancel out goods and services legally is supposed to be gold or silver. And This paper system was designed to create debt through inflation, which means they wanted to devalue this paper money. They want it to become less and less valuable. They want you to believe now that the only way to get out of debt is to get more of this type of debt. So that's why we have people working overtime, people working paycheck to paycheck, because they are chasing this debt instead of actual commodities, actual assets. And I'm not just saying gold and silver, because as long as the United States or goods and services are not accepting this as money, then it's just a protection hedge for you. Because if the government, which is, oh my God, $25 trillion or more in debt right now, ever experience that crash again where, you don't have access to your money, then this is just an insurance. But what I'm trying to say is that this is valuable when you obtain something tangible that will produce money for you, like real estate, right? Like cash flowing assets. And so did you all know, for example, that when I discharge debt for debt collectors, I use the Bankruptcy Act of 1933 law in addition to requesting for the validation, the correct type of validation of debt. Tried to validate a repossession. They deleted the repossession, changed the account number, and made it into a charge off. And it is still being held by the car loan company. Okay, Lee Brown. Yeah, when that agreement is sold to someone else, the account numbers will change. And so a charge off, this is something else a lot of people don't know, that they must provide you with all the account notations, all the principal balances, all the interest on it, to make sure you are not being overcharged for any debt that they are attempting to collect. Did you all know that? They must provide all of the information. So you have to use a combination of the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. Then if it hits your credit report, you have to use a combination of the Fair Credit Reporting Act and also the Bankruptcy Act of 1933, because it constitutes as fraud if the alleged obligation or debt and no money was ever created. So it's considered fraud under the Bankruptcy Act of 1933 if they are attempting to collect debt from you to pay off a debt by simply entering numbers in the bookkeeping entries. Right. So, okay, Delaney's with the same loan company. Yeah, well, not a debt collector. Okay. Wow. Well, I hope you're not trying to challenge that yourself. Yeah. So, yeah, send me an email. I type my email in. This is how I get debt collections eradicated for people. You have to know how to make them produce the original signed contract. You must also have to make them produce our interest, our maybe late fees are charged, any clauses in the contract that will make the amount more than what they purchased it for. Also, they're supposed to disclose to you any purchasing price, but I usually don't even have to get that debt or that in detail into the account, because once I ask for the notarized, the original contract, the sworn affidavit, in combination, and I use the law with this. I just don't, you can retype up what I'm saying right now live all you want to and send it in, but if you don't know the law that goes with it, you won't be effective. It's just like going to court, trying to represent yourself and telling the judge that you will not read your Miranda rights, and then you can't quote the law that says you're supposed to be read your Miranda rights. And that's what a lot of people try to do. Accumulating a letter and mailing it in without the law or the knowledge of the law to support it, you won't be effective. You won't be effective. And there's another law. There's another law you have to know, that if you do get an itemized or printout of a bill, I'm trying to put my a printout in the bill, you have to know the case law that states that this is not legal validation of debt. Because if they take you to court and they inform the judge that we did provide them a printout of a bill of the debt and they still did not pay the debt, that's my email, then you're still going to be liable because you didn't know how to counterclaim that, hey, this is not proper debt validation according to the law. And I'm going to answer this other question about discharge bankruptcy, then I'm logging off. I don't know what you mean by, what do you do about this discharge bankruptcy? There is nothing in the Fair Credit Act that even that addresses, how bankruptcies are supposed to be reported on a credit report if they are indeed discharged. So meaning that you didn't carry through with the bankruptcy process, then you use that statement in that law when disputing to get anything discharged off your credit report. If it's a discharge, dismissed bankruptcy. So that's how you dispute and handle dismissed bankruptcies. You state in there that the Fair Credit Reporting Act only addresses discharge bankruptcies and how long they should stay on your credit report, but it mentions nothing about dismiss. And there are also other laws and language that you have to use, but that's just your main knowledge of where you can get started if you're trying to do it yourself. I do want you all to understand that I have credit consulting and cash flow businesses. I'm not, I don't do this through a network marketing company. This is my own company. I am the CEO and founder, and I do not give out my dispute knowledge for free. This is what pay me for, but I give you an overall view of what your rights are. And if you can research and do it on your own, you are free to, but I will not give detailed instructions step by step of what you would need to do and then charge somebody else to handle that. I wouldn't be in the consulting business, and that wouldn't be fair to my paid clients as well. So, hey, I'm signing off. Time for me to go to the gym. I hope this all help you. I do want to, you can't hardly find any information about the 1933 Bankruptcy Act, but Google that. Once you log off, once we end this live stream, I definitely encourage you need to know about that. You need to know about Franklin Roosevelt. You need to know that the United States is still in debt. You need to know why other countries don't want this money, because they understand it's not backed by anything, and they're dropping U.S. bonds, and they're not accepting this. And why the United States printed this in the first place, to try to give other countries so that they know that it's valueless and worthless, so they can continue to build their wealth, right? When other countries disconnect and do services with them. But this is a debt. This is a note. And if you understand that law, that a contract is not a valid contract unless money, which under our Constitution only defines gold, silver, or commodities as money, is exchanged. And using this in combination with the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act is how I save people hundreds of thousands of dollars from paying debt collectors, right? All right, have a great day. Fantastic Sunday. Also watch Byron Allen's interview on The Breakfast Club. It is very powerful. Any minorities, he's in a lawsuit against Comcast. Within 10 days, they have to go to the Supreme Court. So if you are a minority, which means you're African American, you're welcome on Instagram. Thank you so much. Mexican, Asian, your civil rights can be taken away if this lawsuit is lost, right? Because they He won in the 9th District Court. Comcast, and his perspective is African Americans get wealthy, mostly wealthy from the media perspective, and Comcast makes $70 billion a year on average, and none of that money is returned to entrepreneurs, African Americans entrepreneurs that's in the media field, right? And the amount of customers that Comcast has that's African Americans, meaning that that money is not being recycled back into our community, right? Which means more Black entrepreneurs' wealth in the media field cannot be produced. And so he filed 2 lawsuits against Charter, against Comcast, and Comcast has taken it to Supreme Court under the Civil Rights Act of, I think, 1865, which pretty much was incorporated that once slavery was abolished, it gave the rights that if you were free from slavery now to have contracts with governments and businesses, so you can now be gainfully employed, right? There's no need to be free if you're still in bondage financially. But watch that video with the Breakfast Club. He also talks about how most people are not wealthy or rich because because they don't know how to get access to capital. And capital is just other people's money or the bank's money. He talked about how he received $300 million to buy the Weather Channel, which produces him millions in return, and how he wants to be a global player. You know, he talks about Tyler Perry, but he wanted to do things globally. He just didn't want to produce Black network. And he talked about Tyler Perry in a positive way, not negative. And that's what I tell you all the time, people. Credit. Now, you don't get $300 million from your credit score. That's going to have to come from your financial statements, right? And you're going to have to show that you have cash flow producing income along with a business plan to get that amount of money. But you definitely can get 300,000. You can take what I call the real baby steps. You know, Dave Ramsey teaches baby steps. You definitely can get 300,000 with a good credit score. And if you're not making the money on your job, what other ways are you going to purchase assets is what I was talking about, income producing assets, if you don't have good credit. If you don't have good credit. So you definitely need to watch us, because if this civil rights law is now abolished, now when you get discriminated on your job due to race and maybe you're fired, you won't be able to take that employer to court for race discrimination. So you all need to be aware of that. He brought out some great points about the real reason why Martin Luther King was assassinated was because of the speech, "There are two Americans," because he was fighting and helping thousands and thousands of people, not just African Americans, thousands of people to get not just the sanitation workers in Memphis, right? For higher income and income equality. You know, Martin Luther King said, "We're coming to get our checks," right? That's why when slavery was abolished, they tried to implement, what was it? Was it the 14th Amendment, I think? The 40 acres in a mule and $100. And then the government said, "Oh, no, that'll be too powerful to give them that." That's where real reparations would come from, you know. So Jesus says the only reason the dollar has value is because you pay your taxes in dollars. That's true. You cannot pay your taxes in any other currency or commodities, only dollars. That's true. And so what the federal government did and the central banks did is they created their own debt to get you to hustle hard on your job to discharge it. Because the only way to pay off a debt is with real commodities or gold and silver, because that's considered by law, even common law, is money. It has to have some value, and gold and silver never loses its value. And so if you are a Bible believer now, I tell people all the time, that's why the Bible is the #1 best-selling book on money and prosperity and everything you need to know. I tell people, ask me sometimes, is it a sin to borrow? You talk about building credit all the time, queen of credit. Is it a sin to borrow? And I said, well, read 2 Kings. When her and her sons were in debt, when her husband died, that's the strategy she used. She borrowed vessels. And in Romans, when it says to, I guess I'm having credit church today. I didn't mean to go there, but in Romans, when it says to owe no man nothing but to love him, it's saying that owe translates to, if you make an agreement, or we talked about contracts, to repay someone, then do it on time as agreed. And because if you don't pay them on time as agreed, then you owe them. But if you pay them on time as agreed, whatever the contractual agreement was, then you're not in debt to that person, technically. So you have to look at, when you read the Bible, the Hebrew and Greek to get, because we think in our westernized minds in the United States that owe means that I'm in debt to you. That's not what that translates to, right? And so the Bible unequivocally promotes using credit in the right way, right? Which is to build a business. What's up, my friend? I miss you all. I miss you all, my YouTube family. I miss you so much. A lot of times I just have to upload my videos because if I do them live on Facebook, I can get 2 for the price of 1, and it will at least allow me to go live on Facebook and then upload on YouTube, because I can't be live at the same time. But I'm at home now. I'm live on Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time. So yeah, research that. The Bankruptcy of the United States, 1933. Research that. Hey, you all have a great day. I'm on my way to the gym. So if you had these debt collectors, instead of going in bankruptcy, filing bankruptcy, some people spend $5 a month so they don't have to be taken to court. You don't have to pay anything but me for my knowledge and expertise, because you know what? I spend hours researching these things. I spend hours reading the court cases. I spend hours reading cases where people have taken debt collectors to court to be able to give you this information for free. But I can't perform the work for free, right? I've acknowledged, I've given you the knowledge you need to understand, but now you have to make that financial investment for yourself, right? You have to do it for yourself. Hey, I'm signing off. You all have a great day. Visit my website too. Let me put it on before I log off. It's I'll put the link in, and once I upload on all other platforms, then you all can also send me a message there. If you don't want to, just go directly to my email, just go to www.fixmycreditandcash.com, and you see book online or ask me a question tab. Just send me a message. Just goes to my email as well directly. Also, if you pay for or invest for a credit consultation, just know it will be 3 to 5 business days. I am fully booked with clients and customers. So thank you so much for the digital love. Hey, Musclehead on Instagram. Hello. 3 to 5 business days. And also allow me that time as well to respond to your emails or to any inquiry that you may ask me through my website. I don't speak on the phone a lot because my time is really valuable. Right now, I get paid like $350 an hour just to teach financial literacy for an hour. So if I stayed on the phone, with someone else for 30 minutes to an hour, by Jesus, it's not going to be cheap. So your best methods of contact with me would be via email, because my time is really valuable. whether it's researching or investing or making my disputes a lot easier. Another thing I want to point out that once your debt is sold and you have a charge off, once it's sold, when something is sold, that means somebody paid for it. They might didn't pay the full price, but it was paid for. It was purchased and paid for. Then legally also, you do not owe that debt as well. You do not owe it, but you have to make sure that you understand if it was a charge off and it had / collection, that it actually was sold to a collection agency, or it was just written off, right, for a company's loss. So those are whole two different scenarios. And that means that if it was sold to a debt collector and it's reported as a charge off and debt collector, you legally don't owe the debt. You just dispute it. You have to dispute both the company and the debt collector to get it off your credit report, right? But if it was written off for a company loss, you also need to contact that company as well. Okay, that means it was written off for a company loss. They did not sell it to a debt collector. And now you have to know how to challenge that company directly to make them produce all the documentations in place, because what will happen or what can happen is sometime when it's just written out for a company loss, that company will take you to court for that amount. When they don't sell your debt, they will take you to court for that. Or they will send you a 1099 in the mail for the loss that they claim, because they want to save in taxes, right? You know, I talked about the Amazon and Kanye West difference too, of getting 68 million back or paying 0 back, right? But that's a whole nother video. And they will or can send you a 1099 in the mail, which means you have to, that loss for them, if it's $13,000, has to be added on as income for you. And if it's added on as income, it could mean you can pay more in taxes or you get less back from your tax collector. So charge off is not something to play with as well. All right, you all, you got my email, you got my website. You all have a great day. Queen of Credit, cash flow, and debt collectors.